thanks everybody for coming out. Looks like we got some extra guests here today, so thanks everybody for coming out. And I want to first introduce our title sponsor, our 25-year sponsor of the Ursula Beck. I'd like to have Matt Beck and his family and sisters and brothers, everybody, come on out. Just real quick, I just want to tell this story as they're walking out. So in 1999, I went to the Decatur Park District, and I was kind of inspired by the LPGA Futures event out at Hickory Point. And I said, I'd like to maybe bring one of those tournaments to Decatur for tennis. And so I went to the Park District, and they gave me approval. And so I called the USTA. I said, I'd like to maybe do this next year for the year 2000. And they called back in a week and said, how'd you like to do it in 3 months? And I said, well, okay. So we got the tournament, and the day it got in the newspaper, the first phone call I got was from Daryl Beck, and he asked if he could be the title sponsor to the tournament, and I said, sure. I didn't have any other sponsors. I thought, man, this is easy. They just call you. But anyway, that's kind of how the Becks got involved. Daryl and his wife Ursula were the first sponsors, and they've passed on, and their family has continued the tradition in their mother's name, and so that's how that transpired. So I'm going to pass this on to the Beck family.
Thank you, Chuck. On behalf of my sister Maggie, my niece Gracie, and brother-in-law Brad, we're pleased again to be the 25th year of the title sponsorship by the Beck family. Specifically, our dad was the go-getter and made some things happen, but my mom was behind him 100% all the time. And doing this tournament was never an issue. And when they passed, our brothers and sisters and I and all got together and says, do we continue? And it was rather easy, simple decision. We decided, yes, let's do it. So for the last 13 years, the Beck children have also been the impetus behind the sponsorship. But realistically, we always remember our parents because of their love of Decatur, love of tennis, and just love of sponsoring things just to make things happen. And because they could, they did. And that's how it happened. So we appreciate being honored as a sponsor. Just takes a little cash, and we have it. We still have money left over if and when this gets resurrected. Chuck says he doesn't think it's going to happen. I'm hoping that it does, but I'm not going to be the guy behind it, but we're behind it in case a good sponsorship is needed. So thank you for coming today. We appreciate that very much. And the tennis tournament wouldn't go unless this guy right here to the right made it happen. Chuck.
Well, I'm not sure I deserve all those kind words. There's a lot of people helping with this tournament, but just 1 second. These are great glasses, by the way. Click, C-L-I-C. You can get them on the internet. They're great. So if you guys want some reading glasses, I love them. So what I want to do now is I want to go through all the sponsors. Be patient with me. This is a good problem because I've got a lot of sponsors to thank, so I'll try to go through them as quick as possible, but I want to acknowledge everybody. I first want to thank my boss, Bob O'Connell. Bob is here. Raise your hand, Bob. I've worked with Bob for 42 years and couldn't have a better boss. And he allows me to run this tournament because I take time away from the club every week at some point working on this tournament year-round. So he's definitely one of the people behind the scenes that allows me to run this tournament. So thank you, Bob, and your wife, Pat. I want to thank the Park District. They allow us to use this facility. They staff it. We use the Fairview Maintenance Department a lot to get this tournament done. So they're a huge sponsor for us here at the Fairview Tennis Center, and I obviously couldn't do it without them. Real quick, I'm going to try to go through a lot of the sponsors and just mention them. United States Tennis Association gives me a large amount of money for prize money. Mervis Industries Adam Mervis, thank you for the hospitality. Frank Tyrell Foundation, Decatur Athletic Club, Dave and Debbie Rathjay, Eagle Ridge Assisted Living, Doug and Peg Schmaltz, Decatur Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, Carrie and Connor Roth, parents, her parents are Kelly and the late, what I call D-Rob, that was our affectionate name. Dave Robinson, his name is up there. He was a good friend of mine. Unfortunately, he passed, and his family has decided to honor him at the tournament. Hickory Point Bank, Carla Miller, Mark and Kara Huss, John and Desiree Renfro, Homewood Suites, Dr. Dennis and Julie Heim, Tom and Celeste Ames, First Mid, Breckness Group at Raymond James, Richard Kaczynski, Penn Shade, Morgan Stanley, Richard and Ann Demersion family, Beck Tech, Matt and Natalie Beck, not only do they sponsor the tournament, but their business as well. Decatur Blueprint, Mark and Susan Avery, Heritage Behavioral Health Center, Bob Brady Auto Mall, Lone Tree Farms, Pete and Ann Johns. I say this every year, it's a long list, but I added it up this year. We have like 45 sponsors. I didn't even realize I had that many till I added up. It's very solid. Refreshment Services, Pepsi, Horvey Builders, Stiefel Investments, Bill Kruger, Jimmy John's, Peerless Cleaners, Star Silk Screen, Dave and Kelly Brandon, Dave and Danny Kraft, McDonald's, Gary Birschbach, Desktop Solutions, John Bratton, Bill and Peggy Hickman, Skeff Distributing, Trump Printing, Phil Romano, Dave and Mary Miller, Steve Funk, Eric DeVore Consulting. So would you please give all those sponsors a hand, because in some way, shape, or form, they helped this tournament go. So, and I hope I didn't leave anybody out, and I will apologize now if I did. So I'd like to have these people actually come on the court this year if they're here. Tom and Celeste Ames, would you come on out to the court, please? And then Terry Kuhle, will you please come out to the court? John Bratton. I'm not sure if Dr. Scott Bilyeu is here today. If he's here, would he come out? I believe Julie Hines out of town. Phil Romano, is he out here today? Don't know if he's here. Janet Hogan, would you please come out? And Donna Dash, if you happen to be here. Donna Dash does our Golden K. So these are the people that really make this happen, okay? These are our volunteers. They've been with us a long time, and people keep patting my back, but these people deserve more credit because they do a lot of the work as well. So will you please give our volunteer staff a hand? Okay, just a couple more thanks. I want to thank the ball kids for coming out. Sometimes it's not easy to get the ball kids, so I'm going to tell you again. I said before, thank you very much for doing this. I greatly appreciate it, okay? I want to thank our chief umpire, Linda Henshaw, and our trainer, Brett Allen, our Fairview Park tennis staff, Max, Jared, and Bree, and I want to thank the media that's come out. WA&D's here today to cover our tournament. So that's all the sponsors, and now I want to introduce David Littlefield. David is, what's that? Yeah, David, come on out, sorry. Yeah, David is the supervisor that the USTA provides. He travels all over the country running tournaments, and he's been at this tournament for 25 years. And we've gotten to be good friends as well, so give David a hand for just being here for 25 years as well. So, David, I'll let you speak.
First of all, I want to say that it's been a pleasure getting to know Chuck all these years. We were born the same year, so at some point this year we're gonna both be 65 years old. Should we get a chair? I mean, we've been standing a while, so you might want to sit. The reason I'm out here is because many of you were not in the stands on Friday between our action and play on Friday between the quarterfinals when Idel Pierre Louis, who is the senior director from the Pro Circuit Department, came into town from Orlando to make a special presentation to Chuck, and I want to re-award this. So you hold on to this.
Okay.
Hold on. And I'm going to read it. It says, USTA Pro Circuit, 25 years, Chuck Kuhle, to commemorate 25 years of dedicated service as the Ursula Beck Tennis Classic Tournament Director. And I want to say, one of my coworkers, Linda Henshaw, who has also worked this event just about as many years as I have, who was the chief umpire, we were discussing last night. There's a few tournaments on the USTA Pro Circuit Department that are older than this, that have run more years. A couple that come to mind are Little Rock, Arkansas, Midland, Michigan, and the Aptos Challenger, which I think is no longer. But they probably have more years. But we were discussing, we don't think any one of those tournaments has had the same tournament director for 25 years. So I think this might be a record. You know, those other tournaments have had multiple tournament directors. None of them have had the same tournament director. So again, it is my honor to represent this award to Chuck, and I will turn it back over to, actually, I would like to bring out Bob O'Connell, who was Chuck's boss for 42 years. He's going to say a few words.
Thank you. I just want you to know I haven't winged it in a long time, so I will read a lot of what I'm going to say. And Chuck and I were not born in the same year. I think I have 27 years on him, 37. 37. Chuck did say one time to me when I turned 75, you're going into the third quarter, or the fourth quarter. Then when I turned 80, he said, you're in overtime, buddy. And now I'm 87. I must be out of it. It's wonderful to see all of you here celebrating a great accomplishment by Chuck and the volunteers for 25 years. But I really want to talk about 48 years. That's how long I have known Chuck. And it's been a great relationship. Some of you know, maybe not all of you, that Chuck is going to retire this fall. I just want to celebrate the 48 years of my relationship with Chuck and the Decatur Athletic Club. I came here in 1975, and Chuck was a senior in high school. Back then, as well as now, the best player in Decatur. 5 years ago, after Chuck graduated from school, I don't remember which one, we hired him as our head pro. And that started his 42-year career, later becoming director of tennis and general manager of the DAC. For the first 20 years, Carol Hazenfield, Chuck, and I had lunch every single day at Lock, Stock, and Barrel. And we'd talk about anything and everything. Once I asked Chuck, when was he going to marry Terry? Because he had a long courtship. And he said, when I have $50,000 in the bank. Just one example of his determination to be prepared. On a personal note, I have known him as a single man, loving husband, devoted father, incredible employee. We have laughed and cried together. Throughout the years, Chuck has brought passion to tennis in many ways. His incredible knowledge of the game, his ability to teach at all levels, the development of new programs, and making tennis friends. Throughout the years, Chuck has probably affected more than 1,000 lives through Illinois and in the country. He had that far of a reach. He has touched all of us with his honesty, loyalty, integrity, and passion. As a show of appreciation, please stand and remain standing if you have ever had a private lesson by Chuck. If you're standing, raise your hand. How about a group? Continue to stand. How about a group lesson, like a clinic? More people. Participated in one of his leagues. Everybody stand. Or had fun events at Decatur Athletic Club and Fairview Park. Let's give Chuck a rousing thank you. I'm going to ask you to do this one favor for me, and we shout out, "Thank you, Chuck." And in so doing, I want to hear every single one of you. So join me in saying shout out to Chuck. Shout out
To Chuck.
Chuck. He's the best. I'm a crier and Chuck's a crier. Thank you all for coming. With Chuck leaving, it leaves a big hole in our tennis program. We're going to try to fill it as best as possible. Godspeed to Chuck.
And I'm Terry, and I'm a crier too. So Chuck did marry me finally after 7 years, and now we're having our 37th anniversary this fall. So little did I know when I met Chuck 44 years ago at the Decatur Park District, that was my summer job. He came in because he was going to start teaching tennis up here for the summer and needed some flyers for his clinics. So that's where we met and had our first date at Macon County Light Company for dime beers. I should have known Chuck was going to be financially defensive. So anyway, if you've all had a chance to look at the program, Carla Miller and I slipped one by Chuck. We didn't think he knew, but I guess he saw it a day or two ago. But in the inside of the back cover, there's an ad that was supposed to be the Hickory Point Bank ad, but instead it's got Chuck's photo from a number of years ago, and it says, "Congratulations, Chuck, for directing amazing 25 years of the Ursula Beck Pro Tennis Classic and for 42 years at the Decatur Athletic Club. From your friends at Hickory Point Bank and the Kuhle family." And it's got a photo that he's really young and handsome. It's probably a few years old, but that's okay. Now he's just older and handsome. And Chuck never likes anybody to talk about some of his accomplishments, but I'm just going to read a few. In 2013, he won the Cap Layton Award, which was one of the Midwest awards, the top Midwest award for tennis pro. And he spoke at the Indianapolis convention, but it was one of his most special awards. In 2014, he was the USPTA Pro of the Year. 2016, we were the USTA Family of the Year. Luckily, Chuck and all of our kids are great tennis players, and I took up golf when the kids started beating me at age 10. And in 2017, he was inducted into the Midwest Hall of Fame over in Cincinnati. So if you ever get to the Cincinnati tournament, there's a big plaque that's permanently there that has his name on it. And as far as his tennis career, he did play at U.S. International in San Diego, played college tennis out there on scholarship. Then when we had 3 little kids, all of a sudden he was 40 and he said, "Oh, I'm going to go play some national tournaments." Well, he had to play 4 of them, and they were week-long tournaments in order to get a ranking, but in 1998 he did get second place in one of the 40 nationals in Tucson, and he got a silver ball. And in tennis, the top awards are bronze for third, silver for second, and gold for first. So he did get a silver ball at age 40, and I think he was in the top 10 rankings for the year. In 2016, he and our daughter, Tracy, won the National Father-Daughter, and they got a bronze ball. In 2018, they got a National Father-Daughter silver ball. So now he's working on a age 65 tournament ball. That's why he has to retire while he's the youngest of the 65 division. So that's his goal. But over the years, one of Chuck's main goals was to teach kids and get college scholarships for kids. So there's a lot of his former students that have come today that we're sure glad could make it. Adrian DeVore's here from Texas. Heidi Schmidt-McAtee is here. Daly Miller came from St. Louis. Carrie Robinson Roth is here from Chicago area. Kendall Robinson's here. Brett Scroggins. I saw Joe Demersion here, who is his current practice partner. He's been working on Chuck's game, so he'll be ready for these tournaments. I did see a number of Rathjays and Brandons and Carlsons here. Chuck has been telling people for years that one of his first students was Dave Rathjay Sr., and then after that he taught Dave Rathjay Jr. and Kelly for a number of years. Then he taught their kids, Peter and Patrick, and then he taught Dave Jr.'s son, David, and he said, man, if there's ever a fourth generation Rathjay come along, I really have to retire because I'm way too old. So I don't think there's one yet, but he does have a third generation of Robinson. He has Alexis Robinson he's giving lessons to now. But I just want to thank everyone for coming out today, surprising Chuck. We do have a big cake in the back there. The big cake has a picture of Matt and Chuck from a few years ago from one of the tournament awards where they got a cake. But I didn't want to carry the cake out here because I was afraid I might drop it and delay the finals. So have a piece of cake back there, and then we have some koozies that say congrats Chuck, and has a 25 on it for the Ursula Beck and a 42 for his years at the Decatur Athletic Club. So thanks for coming.
Sorry you had to hear about my accolades. They're not that great. Anyway, thank you all for coming out. I do obviously see a lot of people that are out here just to, I guess, support me today, and I appreciate it. I love tennis. I did everything I could at the Decatur Athletic Club, and I'm not leaving permanently. Okay, you're going to see me around, but just maybe not as much. And I love the club. I want to see it continue just as it is. And I will always continue to support tennis in Decatur at the athletic club here, wherever. And I just want to thank you all for coming out, and I hope you can stay to watch some first-class tennis because we have that coming up next. So thank you.